आप सुन रहे हैं ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग कम्युनिटी स्ट्रीम। Hi, this is Q live and direct from Delhi. Welcome to the episode 17. I hope you all are keeping yourself healthy. The stream is also up on YouTube, so if you're listening it out there, consider subscribing. I also made some changes to the website. Stoked for more things which are on the way. So watch this space, and if you have some feedback for me, you can shoot me a mail mentioned in the podcast description. For this episode, we have Karan Adivi, a designer and an automotive CGI artist who has been making waves in the automotive industry and consistently producing high quality work for the past several years. He has also been successful to make an impact to the world's biggest automotive OEMs. Welcome to the show, Karan. How are things going?
Hi, Q. Thank you for having me on the podcast. It took some time to get here, but I can't
Yeah.
believe I was even considered for this. But thanks, man.
What are you saying, man? I mean, I've definitely like I've been, it's been a while that I've been wanting you on the podcast. So yeah, I mean, how's it going, man? Where are you right now?
It's going good, man. I'm currently in Pune. Uh, I am freelancing right now for with CGI work, automotive related, and a lot of projects going on, and trying to get as many personal projects also to fill up my portfolio, I guess. Yeah, I think it's going good right now. Projects have definitely improved. So, uh, like the companies that are approaching me are they already have a mark in the industry. So I'm glad that they're taking notice of my work and I'm able to work with them. So yeah, it's going pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, man, I've been seeing some, really kick-ass stuff on your IG page. So yeah, I mean, congrats already, bro. So yeah, I mean, let's just try to know you better, and let's just talk about your maybe early life, your schooling. Where did you do your schooling?
So it was a pretty mix and match growing like schooling life for me. I I did only 2 years of my schooling in Hyderabad initially, and then when I was 7, I moved to Dubai, and like my major part of my childhood was over there, and then I had to come back over here, and I did 1 year in Pune. Then I did my 10th in Hyderabad again, and then I came back to Pune and completed my high school over here. And yeah, then I joined DSK for college, and that on its own was a different story how it went. And yeah, it's been like 10 years now that I've been in Pune now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, why were you shifting so many places? I mean, because of your parents?
Uh, so my so yeah, we lived in Hyderabad initially, and my dad moved to Dubai. And like the way we went to Dubai, I had no idea that I was going to move there. I had no idea about the place, no idea about the country. My dad had gone 2 years before I moved there, and like I never had a clue like what country or what city it was. I was always just told that he's gone to Dubai, but like I was too young to even comprehend the name like United Arab Emirates or Dubai. And yeah, 2 years later, he got me, my sister, and my mom there, and I had no idea that we were shifting. I thought we had just gone to meet him, and a month and a half had gone by, and I still remember my mom and my aunt were taking me to some school, and I was like, "Where are we going?" And she's like, "We're getting you admitted in a school. Like, we're going for the admission process."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Wait, we're staying here?" And yeah, so began my life in Dubai, and yeah, man, it's been like a big part for me to in my life,
Yeah.
where it like cemented my decision to be an automotive designer, or at least in the automotive field. It like developed so much interest because from where I was in Hyderabad, uh, like again I was very young, and then suddenly there's this drastic change of environment. And for someone like me who I've been drawing cars like even since I was 3 or something, so when I moved there and I'm suddenly seeing this wide variety of I don't know, everything that you can expect to see in the automotive world. Definitely, man, like it like changed my entire outlook on what the automotive industry can offer. So yeah, yeah, it was pretty interesting to say the least to stay there.
Yeah, I've never been to Dubai, but the car culture is just crazy there, right? I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
on the internet a lot of stuff. Considering all of the pointers you've mentioned, you had a clear idea about automotive design when you were, looking for or seeking out for colleges. You were you clear that this was something that you wanted to study?
So being in the automotive world was confirmed for me. Yeah, because from when I can remember, for as long as I can remember, cars have been an integral part of my life. Okay, my family people joke that it's even part of my name. Like, I don't know, but it's just been there. I think the interest came because my mom had taught me to how to draw like a basic car, which I still she still keeps a drawing of that one from I think 99 or something. And yeah, like I just took interest in sketching cars mainly. Like I could sketch, I was a good artist, I would say. Like I took interest in art from a very young age, but cars in specific were always integral to my identity, I would say, because people remember me just because I could draw cars. Like most of my school friends, and when I was young, like on Facebook, if I would try to reconnect with my friends from my childhood in Dubai and all, I would have to introduce myself by saying, "Hey, you remember me? Like I used to draw cars in the fifth grade or something," and they were like, "Dude, I never forgot you, man." Like all that. So it's been there, and I've had like really supportive parents because first thing is like I only drew cars, and it was like the only thing I was doing. So there was no doubt that this guy's not going in any other stream. So like we have to push him to be better at this, and they supported me in doing so. But the like there was some trouble later on in high school because like again, like I didn't know design as a field existed, let alone like know how deep it can go, like in automotive design, right? Or how big of an industry it can be. So like I knew people sketched cars. I used to have a lot of car magazines and stuff, and I used to see design sketches, but that's all I knew about design. And I think so did my parents. So they just thought it was all just sketching mainly. And obviously, we didn't know the design process. And it wasn't even a big field, not only in India. And it wasn't a big field that was known to a lot of people anywhere, I would say, apart from the West, I would think. So when it came to my 11th and 12th, my dad insisted that I become an automotive engineer. The thing is, I was really bad in school my whole life. Okay. And then when it was time for my 11th and 12th, it was just the lowest point in my life. Horrible school because no support. People kind of made, people, including like some trainers, used to make fun of me for thinking, I can become an automotive design student or even, considered that design was an option. They were making fun of me and it was a very low point. And, my dad was like also feeling that design was all just sketching. So his intentions were definitely to support me to join the automotive industry. He just felt that automotive engineering would, give me a solid job, or like career prospects are more defined than design. So what happened was I unwantingly like just took that path of going through JEE and IIT stuff, and knowing that I'm not capable of doing it. Okay, 2 years, like I just went through that pain. I gave all the exams and I hated it because, I'm using, like, my dad's paying for all this. And I knew that I'm not going to make it through because, dude, I can't comprehend like textbooks and stuff. Okay, when I read something, and seriously, textbook images don't do enough. I prefer like actually seeing uh, how some processes work, and then I can understand. But formulas and stuff, no way, like out of the question. So whatever, I went through it. I missed my coaching classes quite a lot. I gave excuses like, no, I don't want to go. Teachers are not coming, so it's raining outside, whatever. And then 2 years like had passed, and my dad gets a call saying that I haven't been reporting. And then yeah, as you can expect, like my dad paid so much. Both my parents at that time on that day, like blasted me, like, why are you not going? So I had to like tell them that that's not what my interest lies in. Like, please consider like design as a choice. My mom always knew about DSK, and I remember even in my 8th grade, my art teacher really liked my work because I was drawing cars in any assignment she would give. She would ask me to draw like a temple. I would draw an Audi R8 next to it. Like, that's the picture, and then the background has a temple, something like that. So she was like, "Dude, you draw cars really good. Have you considered looking into design colleges?" And she had, I think, DSK had just opened like around 2008. So she was like, "It's in the city. I think you should go consider it." And at that time, I didn't know after 10th you had to like go through 11th and 12th. Okay, so I was like, okay, after 10th, maybe you join college directly. And I used to see DSK quite a lot, like during journeys to Hyderabad and stuff on the road. Like, I saw the building and I was like, damn, that's a really good place. And it's convenient that it's in the same city. So yeah, so 12 boards come through, and I had 5 subjects, and I was like, dude, this is just 5 days. Go through it, do your best, even though you're not giving your best. Just make sure you pass, because that's all you require. And what was even more painful was that my dad had actually taken me around the country to different colleges, which actually, and I don't think there were many colleges offering automotive engineering in the first place. So there were not that many options for me to go through, but we had traveled a little bit to go to those colleges physically. And like, my dad thought it would motivate me to do better, to like, you have to study well and get there. That these colleges will lead to a good job or career path. So the results come through, terrible results. I passed, but it wasn't anywhere close to the cutoff required by these colleges. So yeah, like now I'm stuck there thinking, dude, like what college is going to accept these results? International colleges will laugh at me for even throwing the report card at them, showing these kind of results. So what my mom suggested was, listen, you have one last option. Just go to DSK. It's in the same city. And there was no option. So my dad took me to DSK. I had this really badly made portfolio. It was like just a cardboard box with my A3 sketches. And I was thinking, okay, this is a design school, so I can't show my marker renders of like real cars and stuff. I thought design school would ask you to come up with your own designs and like show it to them. So I quickly took a day off, sketched some own designs of mine, and yeah, like I had whiteboard markers. I used them as Copics, and yeah, like so I took it to DSK with me. And I don't know if you remember, but DSK used to have like entrance exams starting from the beginning of the year, and then they would go on till June or something. And this was June. So what happened was, coincidentally, I ended up going exactly one day before the last exam. Okay. And I met a really good student and student administrator. I forgot his name, but he was like, yeah, come through. Like, we can show you the campus and stuff. And he took a look at my portfolio. He was really impressed. So, but then he told me, dude, you happen to come at the wrong time, because tomorrow is our last exam and all the seats are booked. So, you'll have to consider applying next year. So I was like, shit, dude. And at that time, I don't think my parents, or at least my dad, didn't think taking a gap year would work. Because I knew that if I have this one chance to, get into a design college, and they're asking me to come next year, it's pretty much going to probably be like not going to design school at all. My dad would have suggested I study more, I think, to get into engineering only. But whatever. So we said okay, and we were going out, and at the gate, the security guard gets a call, and he's like, "Are you Adivi?" Okay, and then yeah, like we're like, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "This Ninad Panse had called us back." So he's like, "Dude, your work is really good. We can, give you a seat tomorrow, but you'll have to get your work in a proper portfolio, and this is what you'll be expecting. Like, you'll have an exam, and then you'll be interviewed by certain trainers and stuff, and just like hope that you can do better. Like, you have no preparation basically." So me and my dad rushed, got a portfolio, put all my best work, and next day I come, and yeah, it went good, and that's how I ended up in DSK. And yeah, pretty exciting, man. Like, what a good time it was to get that message, knowing that DSK accepted. And getting that call kind of made my dad realize, like, okay, these people, this is where I fit in. They respect my work, and I'm happy there. That's mainly the concern over there. And my dad inquired quite a lot, like, is it just sketching or there's more to it? And then he saw the workshop, and then he saw the other works that were put on the wall and stuff, and he was just convinced, I think, at that time, that okay, there is more to design, and this is the right place for me. And I'm so grateful that my mom made that last minute call, which ended up saving my life, I would say. Like, yeah, so that's how I entered design, because I had no idea about the design world before this. So yeah.
Very, very inspiring story for sure, Karan. I mean, and also very relatable in a lot of ways. I've heard a lot of stories where such creative people are trying to do what others are doing, right? For example, taking coaching for AI Triple E and IIT and etc. And also, I mean, I mean, your parents knew you, that how passionate you were about the automotive scene. So how is it? I mean, when you, so now this was the time where you managed to enter this college. What was your state of mind? What were you thinking? Were you you had an idea about what automotive design was, or was it struggling for you?
uh, So I had just one friend before, like my childhood friend, and she was the only one who took product design up. And she was always probably content with taking up that decision, I think. So I knew she was joining a design college, and she would always ask me, like, are you getting into DSK and stuff like that? I was like, at that particular, before joining DSK, it was a complete no. It was not even an option on my mind, right? Uh, so, like I said, I had no idea about how much design can bring, like what it offers. I just thought it was like I thought it was just sketching. And I remember most of the 2000s, a lot of people, a lot of car designers used to like actually make some exaggerated like hand sketches of the cars and concept cars and stuff. And that's all I knew. Like that's how designers draw cars in like really exaggerated perspectives and stuff. And I had no idea what mediums they would use. It was just different than regular sketches. And after joining DSK, like I honestly thought we would be jumping straight into designing cars and stuff. I had no idea that they would actually teach us from scratch about perspectives and just usage of different mediums, design process, design thinking, and seeing the seniors' works, modeling, clay modeling. Like there was so much more, and I personally like building stuff, taking apart stuff and building and making something tangible. So clay modeling was definitely like interesting, and I was just getting introduced to what clay modeling was after getting to know that I got into DSK. Like I just done little research that clay modeling is also an aspect of automotive design, and then there's exterior design and interior design, components, and UI, UX, or whatever. There's so much more, and there's different streams. And DSK, after I joined, uh, I remember the first year, a lot, we had like 45 transport students, 45 to 50. Many of them like didn't really know. They hoped that they would, learn sketching from scratch. And I was happy that I could at least sketch a little bit. So perspective and all those kind of studies were okay, but yeah, like we improved on that, and it helped me like just elevate my skills a little bit more. And yeah, like next year onwards, when we had long projects and like we had to actually incorporate design thinking, Viscom, uh, Photoshop studies, it was just like elevating whatever you were already good at. You could just make it better, and you're learning new stuff as well. Sometimes you have to unlearn some things, and you're like, okay, like this is one way to do it, and then there's another way which is probably sometimes going to lead to better results or faster results sometimes. So yeah, it was pretty exciting, man, to say the least.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I mean, in the beginning, a lot of the things, a lot of the processes we try to learn is doesn't make sense a lot of time, because even for me, initial couple of years, or definitely where kind of hostile for me in a way, because I wasn't sure what I was doing. Even I picked up something I really enjoy doing. So yeah, man, definitely, it's always a ride. The kind of process you follow in a traditional automotive design process, how you move on to a basic sketch to something which is very much concrete. And the kind of stuff you're doing right now, when did that maybe transition happen, where shifted to maybe CGI oriented designs, or automotive CGI? Was this something you were always interested in, or this is something which maybe came on the way?
It I took interest in doing CGI later. Like it didn't start off. I still feel like when I first started, I had no clue that I would ever do this because there was a specific stream, right? Digital design was a specific stream, and there were, I mean, in the first year, you were told that you would be working with seniors or people from your own class. You'll be paired up, and your designs will be translated into 3D by them. But as you probably know, from my first year to third year, uh, things changed drastically, right? Uh, in terms of administration and how college worked. So when I first joined college, I think I took more interest. I was more interested in knowing what product design and digital design offered. Like I knew, okay, automotive design does this, but product and digital was so much more interesting because they were always being told to make mock-ups, like prototypes and things like that. And cars are like so much bigger. I think we were only going to be introduced to prototyping and stuff the next year, like clay modeling and stuff. So we were just stuck with sketching for like at least 1.5 years or something. And when we came to the third year, that is when we were told that we'll have like digital modeling classes. So, but we ended up having only like one Maya class per week for a month. So around 4 to 5 classes. And the biggest assignment we had was to model an AC remote. So that's all we knew. That's all we got introduced and to, and then like that's how we just understood like poly modeling. And then came Alias. Okay, and I did not attend a single Alias class because I had a surgery around that time, and I just used my medical certificate as a reason to like skip that. And I'm so glad because I still can't comprehend it. Okay, it's almost like learning maths. It was so confusing to me, and I might give it a try now, but at that time I just couldn't comprehend anything. So what happened later was we didn't have any seniors to work with for our second semester long project, and I was paired with a really good classmate of mine for my. I think I was doing a Michelin project, and I was so glad I had him, his Prakar Gupta, and he understood so well how to translate my work into 3D. And he was using Alias, and he was so fast at it. And I was telling him that, see, dude, I'll finalize a design, and then I'll give you the blueprints, like a side view and a top view, and then you can start working on Alias. And that's how I thought. Like you finalize it, the automotive designer finalizes his work, and then it proceeds to the digital modeling, right? And then you can tweak around your work here and there. But he suggested, dude, just give me the rough shape and I'll get to work on modeling it. And he did it so well. I was like, okay, this makes our job so much easier because we're ahead of schedule, right? And it again, that's when like I started properly taking interest in 3D because I was already envisioning like how to uh, present the final project. I was very happy with the design I was making, and I was just looking forward to how we can visualize it in the end because the 3D model was coming out really well. And whatever changes I had, he was making it like within the day or overnight, he would have gotten those quick changes done. And we had a proper finished model at the end. So I was really happy. And that's all the 3D I did in college. After that, I left and there was so much happening after I left college, and I was like, I need to revisit my portfolio and upgrade some projects that I have, and that meant, for me at least, it meant that I have to add some 3D aspect to it as well. Like it's not going to be like I wanted to enhance my portfolio, and Photoshop sketches and just marker renders are not going to do it. It's better if I was able to show my designs in 3D. So I learned Maya and I modeled my first project overnight, like just poly modeling. At that time, I was very proud of it. But yeah, obviously, like I've gotten much better, and that's where it first started. At least modeling my own designs, and then in 2019, just for learning Keyshot and Maya, or like just getting better at it, I started doing some aftermarket designs. I mean, there was no intention behind anything that you see on my Instagram page right now. And there was no intention of me transitioning into a CGI artist. I never wanted to be one. I still don't. I just think that it gave me an opportunity to be in the industry now and it brought money on the table. So, like I'm happy that it's doing that right now. But I still want to be an automotive designer. It's just that the past few years I've been doing this and I haven't gotten time to focus on automotive projects. But yeah, like the moment I started uploading my aftermarket work on Instagram, I think within a few days I started getting like proper client requests. And best part was they paid, like they were ready to pay for their designs to be showcased in 3D. And at that time, I think there was only one or two people who I actually looked up to who were doing this kind of work. But again, I just kept them as a benchmark, but I never wanted to be like them. Like I didn't want to have these many followers or something. Like it was never the intention. It's still not. And yeah, that's how like I started looking more into CGI. It was initially just Keyshot, and then learned a lot of PBR texturing and materials, and then I got into like I stopped using HDRIs. I started making 3D environments, uh, compositions, and I was like, I want to make my work look really good. And the only way to do that is if I have full control over everything that is there in the scene. So that's how I transitioned into like CGI. And yeah, it got me a lot of good projects over time. A lot of big projects came through. And it was, yeah, probably the most convenient thing for me to do at the time to at least get into the industry and get noticed at least by the right people. And that's what I've been doing for all this time.
It sounds so you make it sound very simple, for us, but I'm sure there was a lot of challenges. Even in our previous conversation, we've discussed about the struggles and constant battle, mental battle, which happens constantly, and how it affects your work. So when you decide to quit college, were you also applying to other colleges or maybe jobs, or you just directly hopped on to what you mentioned?
Uh, no, there was a lot of confusion at the end of my third year because the batch before had, at least the transport batch had entirely left, right? So there was a lot of confusion since we started our third year. We knew we were not going to get any seniors to work with, at least in the second semester. And I didn't work with seniors even in the first semester. I just had to, uh, what do you say, like decide on a project that would actually be valuable to my portfolio. And I had to like shift teams because I felt the project I had initially gotten wasn't, it was just like some supercar project. And I didn't think at the time it was anything valuable to do. But we had an EMEA project, like it was to do with the college. I think the brief was given to EMEA and we were also doing a similar brief. So, or the same brief, sorry. And yeah, like from there, we went on to the second semester and we had the Michelin project. And a lot of my classmates had already started like applying for different colleges at the time. And I was pretty convinced because our third year was managed so poorly. I was just like, I have to be done with this. Like, I can't continue over here. And only two of my friends, Advait and Rishabh, were going to stick around. Like, they were going to continue with DSK or at least Rubica. So I was just like so upset with our treatment. And, I was like, I'm going to leave DSK and I'll start looking for different places to like just to get a change. So I applied to Strat. I think I applied to Coventry. And when I left, uh, there was so much confusion as to should I be taking a gap year to get like a better portfolio out there or like, do some internships and stuff. And also like, figure out what I want to actually do if I do end up doing masters outside because thesis and all would come up and I need to be pretty sure about what I do. So I was like, do I get experience or do I improve my portfolio and just go and finish my masters? And at this time, I had zero consideration that I could have applied for ISD France because I was so confused, like lost, and I completely forgot that I could have applied there. And around 2 months after I finished ISD in India, uh, my friend like Advait had told me that he's also he's joined ISD France, and he had just secured a internship in Mercedes in Pune. So, and I had gone to Dubai seeking an internship opportunity over there because I was in conversation with a company over there, which I thought I would get through. They took my portfolio and I went there in person to meet them, and they were really impressed with my work. And I thought I would get through, but it was so late into the internship process because I think ISD requires you to do a minimum of 4 months, and I was already past that limit. So at that point, again, more confusion arises, and then I'm stuck there thinking like, what do I do now? If I want to go to ISD France, I'll have to now go next year only because I have to do internship. So that's what happened, and yeah, all my friends went initially. Like I think five of my friends had gone to ISD France already, and the next year I was like, I'll probably try for that as well. And they liked my portfolio, but I was like, if ISD likes my portfolio, then I'll try for better places. Then I tried applying for Coventry, and what happened was Coventry screwed up so much in my application process because they ended up sending me all the documentation at least 5 to 6 months late. They had my final interview 2 weeks before the start date, I think, and it wasn't a good experience because everything was not happening on proper schedule, right? So another year goes by and I don't get a seat in any college because this time it wasn't my fault, and I was devastated. I was like alone in the city because ISD over here shut down and everybody goes to most of the batch goes to France. So I have no friends in the city. Most of my childhood friends also are moving outside, and I'm stuck there feeling like, what the heck do I do now? Because there's absolutely no inspiration to, like, no motivation to do anything now. You're stuck alone, and you see everybody going and you're like, what do I do? You question yourself, like, is it my work, or should I have done, should I have applied to more places, or uh, you know should I have made my work look better or something like that? Yeah, so then I ended up just sitting on my computer learning 3D, and yeah, a few months later this worked out, and because clients came through pretty quickly, I have been freelancing ever since for the because it was something like solid that happened.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of points you've mentioned, throughout this journey is definitely sounds tiring to me, and it's not easy when you have so many things going on, and you're also pushing yourself to constantly create. So, where were you finding your inspiration? Your motivation to kind of doing dailies, doing weeklies, and constantly creating. How are you motivating yourself in this time?
So one of the best things that happened after joining DSK was getting a proper work ethic, and I think it just comes from, well, we had a few good trainers, like really good, and also from see, we had a lot of good seniors to look up to, and their works were just like, you had to match up to that. And I think within the very first few weeks we were told, don't, like, this is not, your class is not your competition, you have to think globally, so you have to match, like, don't feel afraid to match your standards to have your work on at a global level. So like me and my core group of friends, we were like mostly always motivating each other to keep up all the time. Sketchbooks were good, and we would like always, we were mostly always together doing it. So we had each other to look at physically, like, to see how we were. We always helped each other to, meet deadlines. We had good teams, or like we understood how to be in a team very well. And even though we weren't in good teams, we just like made it work, and we took something away from it. So the inspiration was always there. And yeah, like seeing most myself and my friends always come up from where we were in first year, that's like a huge inspiration. And today also, when I see them, be in good positions, it's like really inspiring. And from the very first year, one of the like one main inspiration I remember was seeing the final batch had just come back from their internships, I think, for their graduation. And they had a lot of pictures of themselves enjoying Europe. I remember they had their internships, but they also met up, and they had a lot of fun. So that's where I remember some of my friends and I were always discussing that that's where we need to be. Like we need to push ourselves so much that even when we start getting work, like we're in jobs, we need to have the same kind of fun we have that we're having right now in college. So yeah, like we just, I think because we were doing what we liked so much, and seeing everybody grow at the same time, it was like constant motivation. It still is, seeing how everybody right now also is doing what they like. It's always been good motivation to keep up, Yeah.
I mean, same goes to me. I'm really fortunate enough to, have a right kind of circle around, constantly, pushed each other. Um, but definitely, I mean, you definitely make it sound very simple. When you talk about work ethics, maybe what were the key pointers you were looking at? So, so considering you were studying automotive design and not, and not something which is CGI oriented. So the kind
Yeah.
of the kind of tasks you have is very craft driven, very skill oriented. So how are you making sure, or maybe you are reaching out to people for to mentor them? How are you maybe making those courses for yourself? Okay, maybe and the kind of renders you wanted to create, how are you organizing all of these tasks?
Uh, so I was always into sketching, right? Before DSK also, I was always like, I was known for just sketching cars. So since a very young age, I pushed myself. I had to be self-taught. Nobody else was doing it. Nobody else is going to teach me. And like I was one of the only few who would do it. I remember there was one friend who I met in the school bus who would draw cars, and we didn't know each other. And other students had to tell me that, dude, that guy also draws cars. And then we became good friends. And yeah, we still keep in touch. He's also in the automotive industry only, I think, now. So since a young age, like I was like always in the mood to learn new things. I knew that automotive design is the only thing that I want to do. So I was always visualizing how to, like from real life. I was taking inspiration from real life, how to get my sketches to look better. Once I joined college, it just became a little better, where trainers like George and Brian just like enhanced our skills. If like for me at least, because I already knew how to sketch, they whatever they taught me was much more like in terms like they what they taught me was how to improve what I'm already doing. And sometimes, like I said, we at least with George, it was like you had to completely unlearn some things and learn new processes as a whole and improve your work that way. So yeah, that is what we I think I have him to thank for mainly, because he showed us so much of like a big variety of ways to go about your process. He had his work, he brought his work from his college time and his personal projects and stuff, and he actually showed us, this is how he goes through his that's how his process works. And this is how you can go about it, how to organize your work also. And like our long projects also, he told us how you can present it. Like that's your baby, right? You're working for 4 months on a project and you want to show it. Like you I think presentation is a big part of at least getting your design recognized, whether it's good or bad. At least if you present it well, you're doing half the job over there only. So you need to be proud of it and all that stuff. So he taught us quite a lot. Again, process is different, and his criticism was good, constructive. That way, we feed off that, and then we are able to translate it to probably uh, give to other people, juniors or whatever, and we're able to look at our own work in a different way. in a different perspective. Now, when you sketch and like you put your work out, uh, sometimes you feel like it's good for you, it's good, and you get the criticism sometimes, and it knocks you down. It's like sometimes your work might look good, but it has not met the expectations, or it doesn't relate to the brief. So you go through everything again, and you just have to understand that sometimes that's how the world works, and that's how you will probably have to work in a real life situation, like in a proper job. So yeah, we were taught all this, and at least in the 3 years that I was in ISD, this is what like really helped me. And yeah, like even today when I'm working on some projects on CGI, some days the motivation isn't there, or I feel like the work I'm putting out is not because I want to put it out, it's just because I want to throw content out there. Then I like completely delete the file at the end of the day, even though I've made the design and it's ready to get rendered. It just doesn't feel honest. So I end up deleting it, and I'm like, I'll start fresh again tomorrow. And maybe that project I was doing half-heartedly is not my best. And what I realized is that we have the opportunity to make the next project always better than the previous one. So just keep upping yourself, and yeah, like I think if other people can see that progress in like in consecutive works, I think it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, being a designer, being a design student, I mean, you also have to consider that people gonna criticize you,
Yeah,
and I think you've handled it pretty nicely. And do you think that it really helps you right now when you working with clients, taking feedback from clients, and doing what they really want? Do you think this habit of taking criticism in a right way has helped you?
definitely, because when in college, we, at least my from my end, I feel like most of us always saw the good criticism and even the bad criticism. We had certain people who just didn't like our work, and they kind of made it very clear that they didn't like our work, and it wasn't constructive criticism at all. They just shot you down. I remember a lot of my friends also feeling bad about doing so much work, and you weren't getting constructive criticism from certain people. And so we knew like what is good and what is bad, and what you should actually take from take back. So now also when I work with clients, most of the times they ask me to do the work, like because they feel like they give me the car and they're like, you do your stuff, and we can go about uh, making changes and stuff after that. uh, and you feel like the work that I send is already like good looking, because they have no expectations, right? They're telling me to do the work, so I give them the first draft, like usually. And what most of my clients have told me is that they like that there's it's not just poly modeling and making fender flares or like wide bodies just like that. Like at least there is a sense of design as to line flow, and everything at least fits well with the car. It's not like I'm taking a vintage car and just adding some modern touches to it. It's done tastefully, because I come from a design background, and I can understand to a certain degree how to make something, an existing car, look better. So that's what they like. And sometimes you don't expect it, but out of the blue they're like, nah, this doesn't look good, can we like change it up? And again, it's another time where you restart the work, and they have their own expectations of how the car looks, and maybe it doesn't match with your standards. Maybe I don't want to say that, but it's their car in the end, they're paying for it. So you just have to sit quiet, do it, and just make it look good in the end. At that When that happens, I just stick to what they want me to do. Sometimes they even ask me to just copy work of other people. I strictly say no to that. I can't just blatantly copy what already is out there. If you wanted, you could have gone to that designer and asked him to recreate it for you. You don't ask me to do that. So yeah, like you just take what's given to you, you make it look good. At least the renders look good.
Yeah.
And what I try to do sometimes is, I take the liberty of just making certain things look the way I wanted it to look. And I just tell them that, see, this is how what you wanted probably didn't work out, and it won't. And now I've come to understanding, how the design can be translated into CAD and it can actually be made in real life, right? So I tell them like, this is what you're asking is probably not possible. So I'm sorry, but this is how you have to go with it, and see, small sacrifices will have to happen. So, and they agree with it. Otherwise we have a workaround. I have no problem in restarting and or redoing something. And yeah, just always a back and forth, constant back and forth. And but it's better if the client has a sense of design and knows what he wants, and he's just asking me to 3D model it in a certain way. And yeah, that also is a good back and forth, and there's a lot of redoing stuff. And yeah, you just have to do that until you meet in the middle and you come out with something that's decent, at least, to say the least, if not good looking.
Yeah. And how do you think it's I mean when you create for yourself and when you create for the client, how is it different? I mean, is there, you keep the your process same in a way when you're creating for clients? So, or you maybe keep a different briefs when you are uploading it on your personal website?
So when I do my personal work, it sometimes just starts off with just opening the software and starting with a blank canvas. Just go with the flow and see what works. Sometimes I'm in the mood to work with a certain car, so I'll open it and I'll just do something, and if it and it goes from there. Like, I start polymodeling, and then whatever looks good, keep adding to that. And I try to make sure that it's something that doesn't exist already. It's very difficult because I mean, after I started doing CGI, a lot of uh, what do you say, aftermarket 3D artists came on to Instagram since I started, and it can get very repetitive. So I have to push my work to be really good, at the same time not making it look like some existing work already. Because at the end of the day, what I'm working on with is existing cars, and chances are people have already done certain designs. So it's very difficult sometimes, but you have to keep trying out new stuff. So that's how it goes. And like I said, sometimes even the clients ask me to do something that's existing, but I tell them, see, I can use it as inspiration, and you need to give me some more references if you want, as to what style you want. I'll do the design, but you have to give me an idea about what kind of style you're going for. Because number one, most of the cars I work with are also pretty old, like from the 60s and 70s. So you have to be period correct. You can't just expect modern design to match with what they made back then. There's a lot of limitations into how the car was built and what you can continue to do with it right now. So one of the projects I'm working on right now that's ongoing is a 63 Corvette, and the guy is putting a Lamborghini engine in it. So he's like, I want to incorporate the looks of a modern Lambo on that car. And I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And I'd been following him for a long time. I knew him because uh, he put a Ferrari engine in a Mustang, and that kind of got a lot of traction. So I was like, damn, this guy took notice of my work. He's approached me, and this is a really interesting project, but it's very hard to do because this is early 60s design with 2010s like requested, and he's requesting me to add elements of a very like new car. So yeah, we had, I think, around 2 months of back and forth. He was kind enough to give me like rough Photoshop uh, sketches of what he wants. Stuff like he took a photo bashing and stuff. I got an idea like, okay, this is what, at least I have a direction to do. Go in and open up Blender and just roughly model something. Kept sending screenshots now and then, and he was like, okay, this is good. This is how it's going good, and we can probably change angles here and there and stuff. And ended in like, so I start work with a existing 3D model because I don't want to model the whole car. But turns out that I ended up modeling the whole car in the end anyway, because the design required it. And like, yeah, so these kind of projects I prefer sketching it out so I get an idea. Because again, like, if you have a vision, I think sketching it out is, if you have the skills to do it, it's always a good way to do that first and then move on to 3D. and it's such a complex brief, like matching two different eras and two different completely styles of cars. Like it's not even about the times that they were made in. It's You're talking about classic American muscle and like an Italian sports car. So yeah, it worked out well in the end. You can I mean he started the build, and it's pretty insane. I think it'll get ready. It'll take some time, but I think hopefully by the end of this year, next year, it should be out there. So yeah, man, like it's like this only. Like it's yeah, that's how it works, I guess. I really don't know.
The kind of project you've mentioned definitely sounds very, imaginative, and something you'd pick for like a personal project of some sort.
Yeah.
So I definitely would love to see how it came to an end, and how it takes the shape and form.
Yeah.
Again, in your work, there's a lot of customization, and as you've mentioned that it should be generation oriented, and what fits on which timeline. So
Yeah.
I mean, and the customized culture in India is not so good compared to the West. So how you are, understanding the trends, or is it the magazine you read, or the kind of work you follow? Because again, the kind of stuff you're making, it's gonna be very huge, and it's gonna be it's basically a tangible product that you'll be creating,
Yeah.
and not something which is you just make a 3D model out of it. So how do you maybe fill that gap?
So my introduction to customization and aftermarket world started when I was very young. Okay, and this was when I just moved to Dubai, and I had no idea that this could be done. And I was introduced to playing video games and stuff. Yeah, like Need for Speed is a common example where customization was there, but it started only like after Underground or something, if you know, right? But for me, the main inspiration comes from this game called Midnight Club 3, and the vast variety of customization options in that, because they had everything from like muscle cars to bikes to SUVs, and so much variation. And it was a proper like grind to play that game. So it was like around the time where I was soaking in so much about what the customization world offers. Watching a lot of TV shows, Dude Pimp My Ride. That was the first probably introduction to customization. Looking back, it's probably one of the worst examples you can take to customize your car. And then, but eventually, like I got introduced to places like West Coast Customs and stuff, and other companies as well. And I knew that okay, there are like a lot of opportunities to, and a lot of people, at least in the West, sometimes do it on their own, right? Like there are a lot of people who don't have to go to these big shops. What we see on TV was always like celebrity driven or famous people doing stuff. But later in life, I started seeing like individuals also, do cars on their own. There are people who like take years and they bring their designs to life, and they're really good looking. I would say much better than uh, these custom shops, right? So I was very interested in fabrication because that's something that these solo builders were doing quite a lot. They had access like that's what I like. The West has access to that, and it's possible to do it there, especially in the US. I feel people customize their cars on their own because they're passionate about doing it. The car probably existed in their family for like generations, and when it is passed down to you, you want to do something with it. And the culture was there long time, like from a long time, right? So drag racing and stuff like that. So I just delved more deep into what different types of customization they do, why they do it. Then Japan is a big inspiration. They were always doing it, I think, since the 80s and 90s. Most people that we probably know always talk about Fast and Furious or Japanese cars, and they have this fascination with it because they kind of are the benchmark, I would say, because they do it so well, and they're function oriented also. That's not always, they don't only do it for the looks, they kind of also do it for the performance, right? And within the country they have so many styles. And then I moved to India after getting to know enough about this, and yeah, I got to know that it's kind of illegal to modify your cars in India, right? I have seen a lot of people modify bikes. I think the bike culture in India is much bigger and better in India. But cars, usually you would see a mix and match of people just putting parts of random cars. A lot of, I would say, I know a lot of effort goes into them, but poor design work. They have, again, the taste isn't there, and they just have not been introduced to different. Uh, I mean, they really haven't been introduced to a sense of design, right? They're just working with what they get. You see like Premier Padmanis and Fiats or like random cars just mixed and matched. Most of the city buses, I mean, intercity buses that we see are also just, you'll see like Scorpio lights on it or some shit like that. So that's all like random workshops, just, making the best of what they got, making fake G Wagons out of Boleros and stuff like that. Things like
Yeah.
all that. And I would say down south, I've seen some really good work on cars in like Kerala and all. I think the roads are better, so it's worth doing it over there. I think Delhi has good car culture because again, roads are good. And I'm not really that aware because my experience with clients in India hasn't been that great. And what they expect out of me is not possible to do with the stuff you get in India, I would say. It's it would just cost you a lot, and we don't have the access to a lot of things. I think a lot of things have to be ordered in from outside and stuff. Or yeah, like I'm really not that aware of how much can be done in India compared to what's happening outside at least, and what's already been happening for so many years.
Yeah. So you get more clients from abroad than in India?
Yeah, almost all of them are from outside India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I mean, throughout your journey of creating these customized cars and the 3D, uh, uh, how are you deciding your tools, right? How are you deciding your 3D tools? Or because I remember that in your journey, and a lot of times you're shifting from one software to another for one or the other thing. So, how are you
Yeah.
deciding that? And I mean, what tools are you using currently?
Uh, so for me, like what I soon realized was upskilling is something you need to know in the industry. So initially, when I started off, all I knew was Maya, and like I just understood the basics of poly modeling and how to shape it into a car, right? And Keyshot was the only option because that's all college taught us, and it was very easy to access as well. Just drag and drop, and you work with the materials with how much knowledge you have. Uh, but then seeing the results of certain, like Behance is a great place to see this thing. Some of the seniors also had, I think we had V-Ray or V-Red also. So just I'm like at least having an idea about different software and their capabilities is enough, and just trying the will to just try them out is also something that was there. So after I did as much as I could with Keyshot, like I have to move on because it's limiting me from pursuing what I actually want to put out. So I moved on to the software called Corona Renderer, and appropriately it happened in the lockdown period. So like the name kind of just fit, I guess.
Irony.
So
What
yeah, the
irony?
irony. Yeah. So it turns out it was pretty affordable.
Yeah.
Like I had to buy a subscription, and it's probably one of the most affordable ones. 25 euros is per month is was the thing, and I could afford that. And compared to the other, Keyshot is really expensive. And yeah, so this was good, great results. I think it was meant for architecture quite a lot, but I was seeing a lot of good automotive results that were being put out on Behance and stuff. So like I have to try this out, and it's always a pain to start learning something new
Yeah.
because see, when your first software is something as easy as Keyshot, when you can just drag and drop and click on the material and make your changes. Uh, Starting fresh from a software where you have to learn UV mapping, which was a like mind fuck for me initially. Uh, it was good. Like where I am with the software now, I'm just happy that I took the decision to change because you require it. Then also last year, like I was doing a project with Advait, which this Eclipse project that I did, and he was pretty sure that he wanted to use Unreal Engine because it offered so much, and his vision wanted to like he had a vision and he wanted to um, achieve that only with Unreal Engine, I think, because our like free software, amazing capabilities, and he wanted to make a video of the project, right? And I was so impressed with how quickly he was able to learn and put out what he did. that I was just like, why don't I start learning it? So yeah, like last year I purchased a system, like a proper PC setup, because I wanted to like really upgrade my skill set. And yeah, man, like I was pretty adamant that now onwards I want to do pure like CGI scenes, full on CGI scenes, because I'm a big fan of cinematography and filmmaking. So a lot of inspiration from films, and I was like, I want to translate that into my work, because yeah, you can render cars, but I think you should always have a style. That's something I took away from again George, telling us that as an automotive designer, your style stands out, and if people can tell your work by the style itself, then it's a good thing, because you're real, like you made your work. I mean, you've done so, you put in so much time in your work that it actually has its own character to it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like my focus is on trying to achieve photorealism, but as at the same time, I try to take a lot of inspiration from filmmaking, because I don't see a lot of CGI artists do that. All the CGI work that you see on brochures and instruction manuals or like advertisements are, yeah, they're creative and they're good. I'm not saying anything against that, but uh, there's nothing that's like cinematic. The ones that are actually like really good, and they feel, the right music behind the advertisements and all, really like make an impact even on advertisements that you see or stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I keep up, man. With softwares, you have to learn. I think it's just required. The industry is asking for it. So there's so much content out there right now for you to learn softwares, free software like Blender and all, and the capabilities they have. I think just try it out. That's the best thing I can say.
A lot goes to a automotive CGI render. You have
Yeah, yeah,
lighting, you have car material, you have the because it's not like it's a huge product, right, which you have to cover, right, and
yeah,
a lot of times, and also your design features. You and also you have to tell a story. It should also be technically sorted.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely challenging for sure to come up with something unique. And also, I loved what you mentioned about having your own style, because
Yeah,
I think this is the biggest validation a creative can have. Where one can figure out whose work is this from this just the style.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, that takes us to the last question. Basically, what are you trying to create now? I mean, where are you moving right now? What are the next steps you're moving along?
So I have come to this conclusion that I have done enough with my freelancing. I've learned enough. I've gotten the projects that I wanted to work on, and I'm glad with that. Uh, I'm glad with the recognition that I've gotten. So now I really want to step into the industry just to learn how the industry works. I feel like I can provide a lot of skills, my skill sets to the industry, and also take back from them and how to improve, like at least with how to streamline my work better, organize my work, and what I can actually do to improve what I'm already doing. And yeah, man. So I'm now transitioning into like applying for full-time jobs, and that's what's going on, like a lot of interviews happening now and then. And yeah, just pushing out like personal projects to keep adding to the portfolio. And yeah, that's what's happening right now.
I mean, it was definitely very inspiring conversation we had. A lot of learnings, and I hope that we'll get some chance to collaborate sometime in the future.
Definitely,
And
man.
yeah, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.